Imagine this. You walk into a room, and in a split second, you know someone's hiding pain behind their smile. You sense a lie before it's even spoken. You feel the unspoken tension everyone else ignores. But instead of being praised, you're called too sensitive or pushed away for seeing too much. What if this gift of seeing what others can't is secretly tearing your life apart? This is Carl Jung's most dangerous discovery. Differentiated perception, the rare ability to see through social masks, read hidden emotions, and uncover truths that others miss. It's a gift that makes you extraordinary. But it comes with a hidden curse: isolation, exhaustion, and even losing yourself. In this video, we're diving deep into Carl Jung's groundbreaking insight about those who see everything, why it feels like a burden, and how it can become your greatest strength. You'll discover the 4 types of perceptive visionaries, the 3 dangers that threaten to break you, and Jung's 3-step process to transform your curse into a life-changing gift. Through real-life stories, we'll show you you're not alone, and you're not broken. You might just be a consciousness pioneer. So, stick with us to unlock the power of your perception. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and let's dive into the mind of Carl Jung to discover how your gift can change your life and the world. Ready? Let's go. Have you ever felt like you see the world differently, like you notice things others just don't? Maybe you've walked into a meeting and instantly sensed someone's stress, even when they're laughing. Or you've had a gut feeling about a friend's struggle before they even admitted it. This isn't just intuition. It's what Carl Jung called differentiated perception, a rare gift that lets you see through the masks people wear. But here's the catch. This gift can make you feel like an outsider in your own life. Let's dive into what this gift really is, through the story of someone just like you. Meet Emma, a 9-year-old marketing assistant in a bustling New York office. Emma has a knack for reading people. She walks into her team's Monday meeting and notices her co-worker, Sarah, forcing a smile. Sarah's voice is cheerful, but Emma feels a wave of anxiety radiating from her, like a silent scream no one else hears. Later, Emma overhears Sarah arguing on the phone, clearly struggling with a personal crisis. Emma tries to check in, gently asking, "Hey, you, okay, you seem a bit off today." But Sarah snaps, "I'm fine." Stop overanalyzing. Emma's heart sinks. She wasn't trying to pry. She just saw what others missed. This isn't a one-time thing for Emma. At her office, she notices when her boss, Mark, is hiding frustration behind his polished presentations. She senses when a client isn't being upfront about their budget, but every time she points out what she sees tactfully, of course, she's met with eye rolls or defensiveness. "You're too sensitive." Her co-workers say, "Why do you always make things complicated?" Over time, Emma starts to feel like she doesn't belong. She wonders, why do I see things no one else does? Am I the problem? Emma's story isn't unique. It's a perfect example of what Carl Jung called differentiated perception. In his clinical work, Carl Jung observed a rare group of people, about 1% of the population, who have an extraordinary ability to read the world around them. These aren't just highly sensitive people. Though modern research by Dr. U.T.I. Elaine Aron on highly sensitive persons, HSPs, shows that 20% of us feel things deeply, Carl Jung's discovery was more specific: a small subset, often introverted, intuitive types, don't just feel deeply, they see deeply. They pick up on micro-expressions, like a fleeting frown that betrays someone's confidence. They sense hidden emotions, like anger simmering beneath a calm voice. They even detect psychological patterns, like when a group is avoiding an uncomfortable truth. Carl Jung wrote in his notes, These individuals perceive the unconscious contents of others with startling accuracy. For Emma, this means noticing Sarah's anxiety or Mark's frustration before anyone else does. It's like having a sixth sense for the unspoken, a radar for what's hidden in plain sight. But here's what makes this gift so tricky. It's not just about seeing, it's about carrying the weight of what you see. Why does this gift feel so heavy? Because seeing what others can't puts you at odds with the world. Imagine you're at a family dinner, and everyone's laughing, but you sense your siblings' resentment bubbling under the surface. You try to address it gently, but they brush you off or get angry, or you're in a meeting, and you point out a problem everyone's ignoring, only to be labeled the negative one. Carl Jung noticed this pattern in his patients. Their ability to see through social facades made others uncomfortable. People don't like being seen. It feels like exposure. So, instead of appreciating your insight, they push you away. For Emma, this meant feeling like an outsider at work. She stopped sharing her observations, thinking it would help her fit in, but that only made her feel more isolated, like she was living in a different reality. Carl Jung called this the problem of the superior function, when your greatest strength becomes your greatest burden, because it sets you apart from the crowd. In his work, Carl Jung saw patients like Emma struggle not because they were broken, but because their perception was too advanced for the social world around them. If you're nodding along, thinking, "That's me," you're not alone. Maybe you felt the sting of being called too much or overly sensitive just for noticing what others miss. Maybe you've held back your insights because you're tired of being misunderstood. Carl Jung's discovery shows us this isn't a flaw. It's a rare gift that only a few possess. But it comes with a challenge. How do you carry this gift without letting it weigh you down? Before we move on, let's make this personal. Have you ever felt like Emma, seeing something others didn't and paying a price for it? Drop your story in the comments, we'd love to hear it. And stick around, because in the next chapter, we'll uncover the 4 types of visionaries Carl Jung identified, so you can figure out exactly which kind of perceptive person you are. So, you felt it, that uncanny ability to see what others miss, like Emma in our last chapter. But did you know that Carl Jung identified 4 distinct types of people with this rare gift of differentiated perception? These are the visionaries, the 1% of the population who see the world through a lens others can't. Each type processes the unconscious differently, and understanding which one you are can change how you navigate your gift. Let's meet these 4 types through real-life stories and uncover which one resonates with you. First up is the feeling intuitive. Picture Sarah, a 3-4-year-old teacher in Chicago. Sarah doesn't just notice her students' emotions, she feels them as if they're her own. When a quiet student, Jake, sits in class with a forced smile, Sarah senses a wave of sadness wash over her. Later, she learns Jake's struggling with family issues. It's not just empathy. Sarah absorbs emotions like a sponge, often feeling drained after a day of teaching. Carl Jung described this type as living in perpetual emotional contagion, soaking up the unspoken feelings of everyone around them. For Sarah, this means she can't just teach. She's constantly navigating the emotional undercurrents of her classroom. But it's exhausting, and she often wonders why she feels so much when others seem unaffected. Next, we have the thinking intuitive. Meet Mark, a 40-year-old software engineer in San Francisco. Mark has an eerie ability to predict outcomes before they happen. During a team meeting, he senses his startup's new project is doomed. Not because of data, but because he sees the unconscious patterns in his team's overconfidence. Months later, the project fails. Just as he predicted. Carl Jung called this type's gift unconscious pattern recognition. where they foresee relationship breakdowns, career missteps, or even personal crises with startling clarity. Mark's colleagues call him a pessimist, but he's not guessing, he's reading the invisible threads others miss. The downside, he feels frustrated when no one listens, like he's shouting warnings in a room full of deaf ears. Then there's the sensation intuitive. Lisa, a 27-year-old nurse in Seattle, embodies this type. Lisa doesn't just notice her patients' emotions, she senses their physical state before symptoms even show. During a routine checkup, she feels an odd tension in a patient's posture and suggests a deeper exam. Sure enough, the patient is diagnosed with early-stage illness. Carl Jung noted that this type acts as an early warning system, detecting physical manifestations of psychological stress, like fatigue or tension, before others do. For Lisa, this gift saves lives, but it also leaves her hyper-aware of everyone's physical cues, making crowded places overwhelming. She wonders why she can't just turn it off like others seem to. Finally, we have the pure intuitive, the rarest of all. Jake, a 22-year-old artist in Los Angeles, fits this mold. Jake sees everything: the hidden resentment in his friend group, the unspoken tension at a family dinner, even the societal trends no one else notices. But he struggles to put it into words. His mind is flooded with insights, like a radio picking up every station at once. But he can't organize them. Carl Jung described this type as living in perpetual overwhelm, receiving vast amounts of unconscious information without a clear way to process it. For Jake, this means brilliant ideas for his art, but also a constant sense of being misunderstood, as if he's speaking a language no one else understands. Carl Jung believed these four types: feeling, thinking, sensation, and pure intuitive are wired differently, each with a unique way of tapping into the unconscious. In his work, he wrote, "These individuals possess a finely tuned psychic apparatus, absorbing not just conscious signals, but the entire unconscious atmosphere of their environment. Modern neuroscience backs this up, suggesting that highly perceptive people have heightened neural sensitivity, processing subtle cues others overlook." But here's the kicker: each type faces its own challenge. The feeling intuitive, like Sarah, risks emotional burnout. The thinking intuitive, like Mark, battles being dismissed as a naysayer. The sensation intuitive, like Lisa, struggles with sensory overload. And the pure intuitive, like Jake, fights to find clarity in the chaos of their insights. Why does this matter? Because knowing your type helps you understand why you feel different and how to harness your gift without letting it overwhelm you. If you're a feeling intuitive, you might need boundaries to protect your emotional energy. If you're a thinking intuitive, learning to communicate your predictions tactfully can make others listen. For sensation intuitives, grounding techniques can ease sensory overload. And for pure intuitives, journaling or creative outlets can help organize the flood of insights. Let's make this real for you. Which type feels like you? Are you like Sarah, feeling others' emotions as your own? Or maybe you're like Mark, seeing patterns others miss. Perhaps you're Lisa, sensing physical cues. Or Jake, overwhelmed by a flood of insights. Drop your type in the comments, we'd love to know, and stick with us. Because in the next chapter, we'll uncover the 3 dangers of seeing too much and why this gift can feel like a curse. If you're someone who sees what others can't, like Emma, Sarah, Mark, or Jake, from our previous chapters, you've probably felt the weight of your gift. It's not just about noticing hidden emotions or unspoken truths. It's about the toll it takes on you. Carl Jung identified 3 specific dangers that make this gift of differentiated perception feel like a curse. It disrupts the unspoken rules of society, isolates you from others, and can even make you lose yourself. Let's explore these dangers through stories that might feel all too familiar and uncover why your gift sets you so far apart. The first danger is what Carl Jung called collective unconscious disruption. Imagine Tom, a 5-year-old graphic designer in Austin. Tom's family loves their annual holiday gatherings, everyone smiling, toasting, and sharing stories. But Tom senses something off. His sister, Claire, is hiding resentment behind her cheerful facade. During dinner, he gently says, "Claire, you seem quieter than usual. Is everything okay?" The room goes silent. Claire snaps, "Why do you always have to ruin the mood?" The family piles on, accusing Tom of being negative. Tom wasn't trying to start drama. He just saw what everyone else ignored. Carl Jung explained that society runs on unspoken agreements to overlook certain truths, like family tensions or workplace dysfunction. When you point out what's hidden, like Tom did, you break these agreements. Carl Jung wrote, "The individual who perceives too clearly threatens the collective agreements upon which social cohesion depends." For Tom, this means being labeled the problem in his family, even though he's only reflecting what's already there. The second danger is psychological isolation. Picture Anna, a 30-year-old writer in Boston. Anna's always been the friend who knows when someone's struggling, even when they put on a brave face. At a friend's birthday party, she notices her best friend, Mia, is forcing laughter while hiding deep sadness. Anna pulls Mia aside and says, "You don't seem yourself want to talk." Mia brushes her off, saying, "You're reading too much into it." Over time, Anna's friends start avoiding her, saying she's too intense. Anna feels like she's living in a different reality, seeing truths no one else acknowledges. Carl Jung described this as the problem of the superior function, where your ability to see clearly makes you an island of awareness in an ocean of unconsciousness. This isolation isn't just social, it's existential. Anna feels like she's carrying a secret no one wants to hear, leaving her disconnected from the people she loves. The third and most unsettling danger is identity dissolution. Meet Ryan, a 8-year-old counselor in Denver. Ryan's gift is feeling his clients' emotions so deeply that he can pinpoint their pain before they speak. But this comes at a cost. After sessions, he feels flooded with their anger, fear, or grief, unable to shake it off. One day, after a particularly heavy session, Ryan realizes he's crying not for himself, but for his client's pain. He starts to wonder, where do I end? And they begin. Carl Jung called this participation mystique, a state where your psychological boundaries dissolve and you absorb so much of others' unconscious emotions that you lose touch with your own identity. Carl Jung wrote, "The danger is not merely social exile, but psychological annihilation. For Ryan, this means struggling to separate his own feelings from the emotional weight he carries for others, leaving him exhausted and unsure of who he is. These 3 dangers, disrupting the collective, feeling isolated, and losing yourself, explain why your gift feels like a curse. Carl Jung observed that people with differentiated perception don't just see more, they carry the burden of truths others refuse to face. When Tom speaks up at family dinner, he's not causing the tension, he's revealing it. When Anna notices Mia's sadness, she's not being too intense. She's holding a mirror to a truth Mia can't admit. When Ryan absorbs his client's pain, he's not weak. He's paying the price of seeing too deeply. Carl Jung's insight is clear. The problem isn't your perception. It's how the world reacts to it and how you manage its weight. Let's bring this home. Have you ever felt like Tom, Anna, or Ryan blamed for pointing out a truth, isolated for seeing too much, or overwhelmed by emotions that aren't yours? Drop your story in the comments. We're here to listen. And stick around, because in the next chapter, we'll dive into the shadow projection trap and why people attack you for reflecting their hidden truths. You felt it before that moment when you point out a truth no one wants to hear. And suddenly, you're the bad guy. You're not imagining it. Carl Jung called this the shadow projection trap, a psychological phenomenon where people attack you for reflecting the parts of themselves they refuse to face. It's one of the biggest reasons why your gift of differentiated perception feels like a curse. When you see through someone's facade, you become a mirror they don't want to look into, and they'll do anything to shatter that mirror, even if it means blaming you. Let's dive into why this happens, how it plays out in real life, and what you can do to protect yourself from this trap. Picture Emily, a 2-year-old project manager in Portland. Emily's team is working on a tight deadline, and she notices her colleague, David, is cutting corners, pretending everything's fine while quietly panicking. During a meeting, Emily gently says, "David, it seems like you're stretched thin. Maybe we can redistribute some tasks." Instead of gratitude, David snaps, "Why are you always picking on me? I'm doing my job." The team nods in agreement, painting Emily as the troublemaker. Emily's confused. She wasn't criticizing, she was trying to help. But this is shadow projection at work. Carl Jung explained that the shadow is the hidden part of ourselves, our fears, insecurities, or flaws we don't want to admit. When someone like Emily reflects that shadow, like David's fear of failing, he doesn't thank her. He attacks her to avoid facing his own truth. Carl Jung wrote in Psychology of the Unconscious, "Nothing has a stronger influence psychologically on their environment than the unlived life of the individual. When you see someone's unlived life, their buried stress, shame, or anger, you hold up a mirror to their shadow. Most people can't handle that reflection. Instead of looking inward, they lash out, blaming you for creating the problem you're only observing." For Emily, this meant being labeled overly critical at work, even though she was just pointing out what was obvious to her. This pattern isn't random. It's a psychological defense mechanism. Carl Jung observed that people with differentiated perception often become scapegoats, targeted for revealing truths others want to ignore. Let's see this in another scenario. Meet Sam, a 5-year-old barista in Miami. Sam's always been the friend who senses when something's off. At a group hangout, he notices his friend, Lily, is unusually quiet. Her smile masking frustration. Sam pulls her aside and says, "You seem upset. Is something going on?" Lily explodes. "Why do you always make things dramatic? I'm fine." Later, Sam learns Lily was upset about a fight with her partner, but didn't want to admit it. By pointing out her hidden frustration, Sam triggered her shadow, the part of her that felt vulnerable. Carl Jung noted, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves, but most people, like Lily, choose to attack the messenger rather than face their own reflection." Why does this hurt so much? Because being the mirror makes you feel like the problem. When Emily or Sam get blamed, they start doubting themselves. Am I too pushy? Am I imagining things? Carl Jung saw this in his patients. Those with heightened perception were constantly accused of being judgmental or negative, even when they were just stating what they saw. This creates a vicious cycle. You stop trusting your gift because every time you use it, you're punished. Carl Jung called this the scapegoat phenomenon, where perceptive people become the repository for a group's unacknowledged issues. You're not causing the drama. You're just the one brave enough to name it. So, how do you navigate this trap? Carl Jung's first piece of advice is to recognize it's not about you. When David snaps at Emily or Lily lashes out at Sam, it's not because they're wrong. It's because their truth is too uncomfortable. Carl Jung suggested practicing conscious discrimination, knowing that their reaction is about their shadow, not your flaw. Next, protect your energy. Emily learned to pick her battles, only sharing her insights when she felt the person was open to hearing them. Sam started using subtle questions, like, "I noticed you're quiet. Everything okay?" instead of direct observations, to avoid triggering defensiveness. Finally, Carl Jung emphasized shadow integration for yourself. The more you acknowledge your own flaws, your own anger, fear, or insecurities, the less you'll be shaken by others' projections. By owning your shadow, you become less of a target for theirs. This trap isn't just personal, it's universal, whether at work, with friends, or in family. Your gift makes you a lightning rod for others' unprocessed emotions. But here's the good news. Understanding this can set you free. You're not broken for seeing what others can't. You're just ahead of the curve. Have you ever been blamed for pointing out a truth? Like Emily or Sam? Share your story in the comments. We're all in this together. And stick around, because in the next chapter, we'll uncover Jung's 3-step process to turn your curse into a life-changing gift. You've seen how your gift of differentiated perception can feel like a curse, disrupting groups, isolating you, and even making you lose yourself. But Carl Jung didn't just identify the dangers, he offered a way out. He called it individuation, a 3-step process to transform your overwhelming gift into a life-changing strength. This isn't about dimming your perception to fit in, it's about mastering it, to live authentically and inspire others. Let's revisit Emma's story, explore Carl Jung's solution, and uncover how you can turn your curse into a gift that changes everything. Remember Emma, the marketing assistant from Chapter 1. She felt like an outsider at work, sensing her co-workers' hidden stress, but getting pushback every time she spoke up. Emma was drowning in her gift, feeling misunderstood and alone. But through Carl Jung's individuation process, she found a way to harness her perception. Let's break down the 3 steps Carl Jung taught: recognition and differentiation, shadow integration, and conscious participation, and see how they transformed Emma's life, and how they can transform yours. Step 1. Recognition and differentiation. The first step is learning to separate what's yours from what's not. Carl Jung noticed that people like Emma absorb others' emotions, like Sarah's anxiety or Mark's frustration, so deeply that they lose track of their own feelings. He called this participation mystique, where your boundaries blur with the unconscious emotions around you. To break free, Carl Jung taught conscious discrimination. For Emma, this meant carving out time for solitude. Every evening, she started journaling, asking herself, "What am I feeling right now? Is this mine? Or is it from someone else?" By reflecting, she realized that the anxiety she felt in meetings wasn't always hers. It was Sarah's. This simple practice helped Emma reclaim her emotional space, making her gift feel less like a burden. Carl Jung wrote, "The first task is to establish what belongs to you and what belongs to others. Without this, there can be no individual development." Instead of blaming them, she asked, "Why does this hurt so much?" Through journaling and therapy, Emma realized she was projecting her own fear of being too much onto others. By owning her shadow, she became less triggered by their reactions. Carl Jung wrote, Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. This step isn't about becoming perfect, it's about being whole. When you accept your flaws, you stop needing others to validate your gift, and their projections lose their power. Step 3. Conscious participation. The final step is using your gift wisely, without losing yourself. Carl Jung called this conscious participation, sharing your insights in a way that helps others without draining you. For Emma, this meant learning to offer her observations tactfully. Instead of saying, "Sarah, you seem stressed," she'd ask, "Sarah, you've got a lot on your plate, want to talk?" This small shift made co-workers more receptive, and Emma felt less like an outsider. She also set boundaries, choosing when to share her insights and when to stay silent. Over time, Emma became a trusted confidant at work, using her perception to build stronger relationships. Carl Jung wrote, "The individuated person serves as a bridge between conscious and unconscious, helping others without sacrificing their own integrity." This step turns your gift into a tool for connection, not conflict. Emma's transformation was profound. After months of practicing Carl Jung's steps, she left her marketing job to become a life coach. Using her perception to guide clients through their own struggles, she no longer felt like her gift was a curse. It was her superpower. She found people who valued her insights, built meaningful relationships, and stopped carrying the emotional weight of others. Carl Jung's process didn't make her see less. It taught her to see more wisely, to use her gift with intention and strength. You can do this too. Start with small steps. Spend 10 minutes a day in solitude, reflecting on what's yours versus what's absorbed. Ask yourself, what part of my shadow am I avoiding? And explore it through journaling or talking to a trusted friend. Practice sharing your insights gently, like offering a gift rather than a judgment. Your perception isn't meant to isolate you, it's meant to connect you to the world in a deeper way. Carl Jung believed that people like you, with differentiated perception, are consciousness pioneers, here to help humanity evolve by making the unconscious conscious. What's one step you'll take today to start this journey? Maybe it's journaling to find your emotional boundaries, or owning a piece of your shadow, or practicing a gentler way to share your insights. Drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear your plan. And stick around for our final chapter, where we'll wrap up with a powerful call to embrace your gift and become the pioneer Carl Jung knew you could be. You've just walked through Carl Jung's most dangerous discovery, the gift of differentiated perception that lets you see what others can't. From Emma's struggle as an outsider to the 4 types of visionaries, the dangers that make this gift feel like a curse, and the shadow projection trap that turns you into a target, we've uncovered why your ability to see deeply sets you apart. But here's the real truth. You're not broken for seeing what others miss. You're not too much, too sensitive, or too intense. You are a consciousness pioneer, born to help humanity evolve by bringing the unconscious into the light. With Carl Jung's 3-step individuation process, recognizing what's yours, integrating your shadow, and participating consciously, you can transform this curse into a superpower that changes lives. Starting with your own. Let's revisit Emma one last time. She went from feeling isolated and overwhelmed at her job to becoming a life coach who uses her perception to guide others. Her gift didn't change. She did. She learned to see wisely, share her insights with purpose, and connect with people who value her for who she is. That's the power of Carl Jung's wisdom. It doesn't ask you to dim your light to fit in. It teaches you to shine brighter in a way that lifts everyone up. You're not here to carry the weight of the world's unspoken truths alone. You're here to guide others toward their own awakening, one gentle insight at a time. So, what's your next step? Will you take that first move today? Maybe journaling to find your emotional boundaries, owning a piece of your shadow, or sharing an insight with someone ready to hear it. Your gift isn't a burden, it's a calling to be the change this world needs. If this video hit home, smash that like button to let us know. It helps us reach more people like you. Subscribe to Jung's Psyche Hub and hit the bell so you never miss an insight into Jung's life-changing ideas. Share your story in the comments. How has your perception shaped your life? What's one moment when you saw something others didn't? And how did it feel? Your story could inspire someone else in our community. Don't stop here. Keep exploring Jung's world with our next video, where we'll dive deeper into the ideas that can transform how you see yourself and the world. Click the link in the description to continue your journey. You're not just watching a video, you're stepping into a new dimension of self-discovery. You're not too much for this world. You're exactly what it needs to evolve. Thank you for being here with us at Jung's Psyche Hub. Let's keep shining that light together. See you in the next dimension.